Hey, it's Molly. Welcome back to my channel as we're going to discuss Jupiter and Gemini squaring Saturn retrograde in Pisces. Now, this chart is set for August 16th, but the exact square is on August 19th, and I'll explain why I have the chart for August 16th. Now, on August 16th is when Jupiter gets to 17 degrees of Gemini, which is when the square begins because they're both at 17 degrees. Saturn is here at 17 degrees of Pisces, 38 minutes retrograde. Even though the square energy is increasing a few weeks before this, August 16th to August 24th is when both of the planets are at 17 degrees. So this is when the energy intensifies. Now, before we dive into this though, we need to reference some important things about this story, which is the story of Jupiter and Saturn, who had their latest great conjunction back in December 2020 when they were both at 0 degrees Aquarius. Well, look who's in town now at that exact location of the great conjunction. So when Jupiter and Saturn were here together, they were beginning a new cycle together. They are in a conjunction about every 20 years. And it was at the very beginning of Aquarius, a new dream, a new vision, new hopes. What can we create together? And then Pluto moves into town at that exact same degree point and reveals what is not ready to be created because the energy on the planet is deeply transforming. Pluto will bring a death and destruction to something that isn't future focused. And that is one of the themes of Aquarius, is the future developments happening rapidly, quickly. It's quantum energy. It's not linear. It happens in ways that we can't plan. And here's Pluto bringing our attention to the power of the future, to how rapidly we're accelerating into new frequencies, to how we're evolving, and to really be intentional with our power, with our choices, with our ideas, and our ideals. So Pluto is basically tearing down what Jupiter and Saturn were focused on together back in late 2020. Again, that was December 2020. Which could feel like an eternity ago, as well as a blink of an eye. And that is, in fact, a great way to sum up the Aquarius energy, where we are out of the time-space continuum. Things are happening quickly. It's hard to wrap our minds around it and to understand it. And so the world is changing yet again. The world is changing deeply. And this Pluto conjunct this degree point is important for the story that is continuing now. Now, you also recall that earlier in 2024, Jupiter was conjunct Uranus. They were conjunct at 23, 24 degrees of Taurus. Uranus is one of the rulers of Aquarius, the modern day ruler, and Saturn is the other ruler of Aquarius. And so back in April 2024, Jupiter was conjunct this Uranus, which was a big deal for many reasons, which we've talked about. Uranus is advancing the mass consciousness, is requiring us to individually and collectively dismantle what we thought we needed to feel stable and safe, and to basically get on board a faster moving spaceship of quantum potentials. And when Jupiter was conjunct Uranus, that was amplified, it was exaggerated, and there was a protective force because Jupiter is spiritual protection. Jupiter is what we're learning, how we're gaining wisdom, what we're understanding, what we are believing in, where we're finding hope in the fast-moving changes, into the new places that this planet is going, that we can't even conceive. And so after that conjunction, Jupiter moved into Gemini, where it's actually not as strong because Jupiter is in its furthest location from its home sign of Sagittarius. Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So Jupiter over here in Gemini is debilitated, it's weakened, it's wanting all of this information, wisdom, understanding, knowledge to fit into the Gemini daily understandings, perceptions, and routines. So we have a Jupiter that could feel too big for its britches, that could be making a lot of assumptions out of bits of information and knowledge, trying to create an understanding of where things are at. Jupiter in Gemini can be a big thinker, but in Gemini, it's not only about what you're thinking, it's the questions you're asking. It's how you're collecting specific information, data, details, feedback. Instead of making assumptions, ask questions to verify the knowledge, to verify the specifics. And that's something that the Jupiter can struggle with, but is learning. And Gemini is about learning. Learning to improve our communications, learning to improve what we're doing, learning to see things in a different way. So the focus here is actually on mental agility. Staying open to a new angle, a new perception. Challenging assumptions, not assuming that everything is fully presented or as clear as perhaps it could be. Now, obviously you see the Mars right next to this Jupiter, but I'm going to stay focused here on Jupiter at 17 degrees, now in that approaching opening square to Saturn at 17 degrees of Pisces retrograde, where Saturn is focused on the endings, the closures, completions, and what's phasing out over the last 30 years. And Saturn takes this responsibility seriously, brings your attention to what you have outgrown, what you don't need, what is no longer an energetic fit, and asks you to also maintain. There's like a maintenance energy here with Saturn where don't get lost in any disillusionment or in the abyss. Rather, stabilize yourself with everything swirling around and allow that to be your guiding force. So Saturn has this opening square with Jupiter in Gemini. An opening square is when they have their first square after their conjunction. And this is their first square that is in these mutable signs, Gemini, Pisces, that are not only about flexibility, options, choices, and being adaptable, but both of these, Gemini and Pisces, represent duality. two choices. In Gemini, it's two choices, the left brain, the right brain. The different sides of a conversation. Talking and listening, giving and receiving, learning and teaching. And in Pisces, the energy is between the human energy and the spiritual experience of being human. And how the strength of Pisces is the ability to surrender our ego, our humanness, to rise above what we are perceiving and thinking in this reality, and to go higher into the formless realms of Pisces, to detach and rise above it all. A healthy form of escapism, if you will, a sense of returning to the bigger picture and allowing that to guide us forward. And so the duality of Pisces is not only the ability to go high into those spiritual, formless, invisible realms, but then to come back down to the grounded earth and what Saturn is stabilizing and maintaining in the physical world, even as we realize what is closing and ending. So in this square, with Saturn retrograde being internal, Saturn being more reflective, reviewing, moving through that second decan of Pisces, contemplative. What did I learn here? What am I spiritually advancing? What am I understanding is karmically closing for me? And then you bring in the hope and optimism of Jupiter, which has a lot of ideas in Gemini, a lot of things. Let's just try it. Let's just try it for a bit and see what happens. Let's see where this goes. Why not? Why not? We don't have anything to lose. The Jupiter in Gemini has ideas, plans, possibilities, is fast moving, and wants to sample. But with the square, the opening square is a testing square from Saturn that is stronger, even though Saturn is retrograde. Saturn shakes his head and says, no, it's not worth it. We don't have the time. I don't think it's a good use of your energy. Let's just take a minute and pull back our energy. Focus on solitude and quiet. This is the Saturn that wants less responsibility, less commitments. Let me focus on what I need to get done, and I don't want distractions, and I don't want all this chatter. And there's a lot of chatter because of this Jupiter conjunct Mars, revving his engine outside on the street and bringing more action to the Gemini areas of the chart, which is no, let's go. Why aren't we there yet? Very impatient Mars. And with Jupiter makes it bigger, louder, screeching, doing donuts in the parking lot, spinning in circles, doesn't sit still. This is the part of you that is energetically very alive and has a lot you want to move towards. A lot of ideas. Again, things you want to try, a sampler, and then it's meeting up with Saturn that says no. And Saturn being retrograde isn't going to be a loud, definitive no. It's sort of like Saturn shakes his head no. This energy doesn't listen. Gemini's like, never mind, I'm not listening to you. goes ahead and does it, and then something doesn't happen. So it's almost like this is a softer Saturn that's saying no, and then a louder Gemini that can be rebellious and inconsistent and, okay, if you tell me no and you lock the front door, I'm going to go out the window. Impatience here, not listening, going to do it anyways. And so if you have planets or points at 17, 18 degrees of the mutable signs, which includes Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, Pisces, there's a part of you that's really impatient, but I want to give you a heads up that this could be learning something the hard way. And it could be that you learn it twice. Because going back to the energy of duality, maybe you understand what's being said, but you don't listen. Maybe there's a part of you that thinks I'll do it better the second time. This could be multiple areas of life or multiple experiences that have some type of ending, completion, closure. This is a testing square that is testing your logic and rationale and reasoning, which has a lot of energy to it. And how it's being tested is through the energetic and spiritual realms of Saturn saying this is not meant to go forward. And it could feel defeating and discouraging because you've got your eyes set on it. You've got plans in motion. You're like, I've already made the reservations. And what Saturn is trying to show this Jupiter is because Jupiter in Gemini is going to go in two directions and go quickly because Gemini is a sprinter. Saturn is always about the timing of your choices. And Saturn is basically saying, do less, choose less, focus, watch where you're distracted or overcommitted. And what is this mental anxiety? Like there's a lot of mental energy here. There's a lot spinning. If I don't do it now, it's not going to happen. If I don't make it happen, it's not going to happen. I've got a lot here in my head. So write it out, talk it out, move it through your mind and throat chakras. Speak it. Move the energy, which is what Mars requires. Mars needs movement. I mean, do your burpees, do your planks, do your jogging in place, whatever you got to do. But Saturn is reminding you there's a bigger timing involved that you can't see yet. And in this chart, Saturn is pretty much alone. Now, yes, Saturn has a sextile to this moon, but that is the fastest moving of the energies. And that provides a backbone to listen to Saturn, but that's only on August 16th. The other reason why I did the chart for August 16th is because as we get to August 19th, oh my goodness, August 19th has crazy energy for the Aquarius full moon, which is also when this square is exact. I have a separate video for you. We're going to talk about that. Oh yes, we're going to talk about that. But I wanted to set this up because as we move through the middle of August, there's a lot going on that's about flexibility, choices. Do not attach to one particular outcome. Do not get locked in to one thing being an absolute. Now, this particular chart, with Saturn by himself, Saturn in Pisces, Pisces ruled by Neptune, Neptune in Pisces, the final dispositor here, also emphasizing endings, closures, completions, big cycles being basically removed, and understanding that we're meant to have a detachment right now. So the Pisces areas of our chart and of our lives are really big, and they continue to be significant into early 2026. But Saturn is actually an energy you can trust because it's a wise part of your soul that can accept it's not the right time. And then here comes the mind and the body revving it up, not accepting that. But a wise part of you knows. Go there, go to that wisdom, go to that part of yourself that can sink into a beautiful trust in the universal cycle of something is not lining up for a reason. And it's between the Pisces, 17 degrees of Pisces area of your chart and the 17 degrees of Gemini area of your chart. It's just not connecting. So do something responsibly with this energy that Mars is triggering and instigating, and allow that to be an outlet. It's almost like get the energy out during the day, empty your mind so you can sleep more peacefully at night. They're going to have another square in December where Jupiter's retrograde and Saturn is direct. That will be in late December. It's December 24th at 14 degrees, where the second opening square comes up and continues the conversation, where the Gemini and Pisces areas of your chart are just going to feel unsettled. But the mutable signs can handle that and find other ways to use the energy, again, that moves the energy, that's effective, that's an outlet, that keeps it open. So keep it open because that's what's going to be required anyways. Now we have a second video coming out for you soon, because not only do we have the square, look who is sauntering into the conversation. Yeah, Venus and Virgo creating this T-square. And I'll have a second video for you discussing that more. But this square, the opening square between Jupiter and Saturn, is the dominant energy that picks up where they had their last great conjunction at 0 degrees of Aquarius and continues to move forward the energy from the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in April 2024. And now choices are to be made, but they won't be settled on in August 2024, and they're going to change again as we close out the year. So the name of the game is flexibility and adaptability, keeping your spirits high, trusting the wisdom of your soul and of your energy that knows it's okay if this is open. It's okay if this is an unknown. I'm still safe. I'm still good. I can handle this. I've got this. I can see the energy. I understand that my assignment from the universe is to keep learning, from the options, possibilities, choices, to stay flexible, to stay open to what I don't know. And to also allow myself to be malleable to this big season of change that we're in. I will be back here soon discussing this energy with Venus entering into the conversation. Thank you so much for joining me. I'll see you back here soon.